my birthday. It's my birthday. It's not my birthday quite yet.
Now, Alan's getting his combined Christmas and birthday present early, which is this Necromunda Underhive box, which is his own fault to being born so close to Christmas. So we thought we'd do an unboxing as soon as we have it on.
Rules.
Yeah, so as soon as we have it on the day, we thought we'd do an unboxing. So I'll let you do the honour of breaking the seal, since it's your present.
You know I'm all about the new box smell.
So, having carried this home from work, I can confirm it's quite a hefty box. It's got a good bit of weight to it. I imagine that's a lot of the card stock
I would
that's
think so, yeah.
inside it, rather than...
Yeah, it's a standard game, but it's not quite as thick as the Shadow War one. That was just a beast of a box. It's still decent thickness.
Yeah, that's a high quality box.
Yeah, it's a high quality box.
A very good quality finish on the actual...
And this inside bit is also part of the tutorial. So the tutorial game is literally just, I think it's 3 models a side or something.
Yeah, I mean,
in this little arena.
I'm just looking at the printed outside of the box. You've got a barcode there, but this is all printed to represent the interior of a corridor. And on this side we've got a dark space, which is where you would put a door.
Yeah, it's supposed to lead on to the actual tiles.
But the first thing that catches my eye is this classic orange 3rd edition style
templates.
Yeah, 3rd edition 40k style template. So it's good to see that Games Workshop still getting some use out of these, and they're the brittle hard acrylic rather than the more rubbery style.
Yeah, they had it in Shadow War as well in red. So because obviously that used the actual Necromunda rules, whereas this I believe is more of an 8th edition thing.
So there's a lot more plastic just looking at it than I was imagining, but then I didn't think that the bulkheads were going to be that big. Yeah,
they're really chunky as well, like really thick. I don't know if this has come from their Chinese
well, I can tell
department.
Just a bit of a feel. No, the quality of the plastic
looks better. Yeah, it looks better than the Chinese stuff that we've been getting.
Yeah, it does actually feel proper UK production style plastic. And it's quite a well-contained sprue. You've got 5 main bulkhead sections. You've got a couple of doors. One's a shutter style door, and the other is a hatchway with a nice locking bar like you find on a ship. And then there's some clips as well, which I imagine is for keeping the other bits and pieces up.
Yeah, I presume the clips are for attaching.
Once we get
them to each other.
The books open, we can have a look at the instructions. But the detailing is really nice. They feel solid. They're good quality. They're not.
They're definitely solid. I mean, these are the ones that they're releasing separately as well.
And the detail's sharp, which is another way you can tell that it's
not the Chinese. Yeah. And then you've got a load of the
objectives.
Well, you've got the objectives. You've also got the sort of half-hidden bulkheads that are going to be used for cover there.
Well, there's a lot of really nice stuff on the objectives. You've got some booby traps here, which are made up of grenades and bombs. You've got these computer panels. You've got some ammo crates, which got some really nice sculpted detail inside. Yeah,
I think you can open the ammo crates up during the game to find out what's inside, and they can be booby traps or they can be ammo stores.
There's a hatchway for escaping and from people who are chasing you. There's a nice
subjective token.
Yeah, and it's got a very just rough stamped metal, beaten metal effect on the back, and of course you've got this tentacle from a mutant.
Yep.
Not enough mutants in current 40k, but by the looks of it, that's something that's going to change.
Well, by the time they get round to Outlanders, I'm sure they'll... Right, the sprues are identical, so let's just take on each.
Yes,
Goliath and Armored Goliath.
So here we've got 5 bodies on the sprue, which means 2 sprues gives us 10. If you're looking at the artwork, if you were looking at the photographs of the miniatures in White Dwarf and various other places, it did look like a lot of the models were very similar. And if you go back far enough to Mel miniatures, you would have a dolly with a lot of detail on it, and then you would just got
literally different weapons, yeah.
And it reminded me of that. But here you've got, you do have similar bodies, but you do have a lot more options on there. You've got lots and lots more weapon options than would just fill out the miniatures that you get given. So you've got a lot of choice there. Reading the promo material, there's a lot more heads and mohawks.
Yeah, they look magnetisable as well. I really like the different faces as well, and I like the fact the faces are separate from the hairstyles.
Well, you can magnetise things this small if you want to, but I'm just going to pick a load out and just stick with it.
No, the whole reason for plastic gangers was to have all the customizability, so I'm going to be magnetising a few bits here and there. But the glass are actually really nice.
It's worth mentioning. It's worth mentioning that in these games there are no Juves. Juve rules are coming later. The focus of the game is very much on your champions, which is now what your boss and your heavies from the old game would be. But you also get more powerful gangers lumped into that.
Yeah, from reading the Hive War book, I actually saw that gangers actually advance in a more simplistic way than champions and leaders anyway.
Gangers are your foot troops basically, and all of your efforts really are going to keep your gangers alive, your gaming champions alive, and get them into contact with enemies so they can earn experience points.
What I completely forgot to do was bring my metal ashes. I wanted to do a size comparison.
You can do an addendum, but yeah, that's fine. Now this is the Escher sprue again, 2 duplicate sprues, which surprises me a lot because the leader of the Eschers with her whip does look to be like a completely unique model, but I imagine that's because there's so many. Not
quite. What happened, because I put one of these together at GW Southend actually, is there's the Escher leader body. So you see that the body itself is completely separate of all the different bits and pieces. The whip is actually part of the coat.
Yes, and I can see.
And the coat is separate, so just don't put the coat on it.
Yeah.
And it becomes a separate model.
That is a really good way to make the leaders stand out on a sprue of what is pretty much your basic building blocks for your gang. Because in the old days you'd buy a blister of gangers and you'd have several gangers in there, but your heavies and your leaders would be entirely separate models. And
the prices are pretty good as well, to be honest, because the spare gang box is like what, 25 quid? That's 10 multi-part plastic models. Yeah. That's fairly favourable in all honesty compared to a lot of the squads. And what I really like the sprues.
There's a lot more customisation in these sprues than the old metal models, because
look at that there. That is a direct callback to the metal hairstyle.
And the one that he's talking about in particular is this hairstyle.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
With the multiple ponytails running along as a sort of mohawk. But yeah, I really like.
They're really nice.
I mean, it gets me excited for the rest of the gangs, because these 2 gangs in particular seem to have been a more detailed version of the original miniatures, which were pretty detailed anyway.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with Jez Goodwin's original Eschers. I'm still going to try and use them with these if I can.
But I think with the Cawdors and the Van Sars particularly, there's a lot of room for a little bit of a redesign, just to make them stand out.
And the Orlocks as well, to be honest, because the Orlocks were pretty standard, just bandana. There was not a lot going on there.
Generic with a capital G.
Yeah, I'm hoping they can do something interesting with those.
But on top of that, we've got all of the potential bounty hunters, civilians, scum.
They're going to do dot workers, bounty hunters, all sorts of stuff.
I reckon we'll be getting our first proper Gilda miniature at some point.
Arbites. It's going to happen.
Yeah. And Arbites really for Shadow War would be good, and just adding a bit of flavour to it.
I'm not sure if Games Workshop's going to do anything further with Shadow War, if I'm being completely honest, because I thought Necromunda was going to launch as an expansion to Shadow War because Shadow War uses the Necromunda rules. You know, so I figured that's exactly what it would be.
But Shadow War is very much in the style of 2nd edition 40k Necromunda, whereas this game is 8th edition 40k.
8th edition, yeah, exactly. Yeah, so it's completely different.
So this is quite a good quality, thick sheet of paper. Give that a feel. That's not. It's virgin on card.
Should have made one side of it polished and done double-sided.
Here we have the clips. So yeah, the clips do keep these bulkheads up.
Standing upright, yeah.
And
there's your
and look, that isn't a hatch to get out of. That's the hatch where the mutant's coming out. So that was a bad idea.
So it's that. Oh right, so you actually, you could put the booby traps in the crates to show what they are.
So that's a nice touch thing, because rather than having to roll dice for things.
Well, what you do is you have the crate. You'll have the crate empty, you roll a dice to find out what it is. If it's a booby trap, you put the booby trap inside to remind you it's the booby trap from when it's interacted with. And if not, you flip it over and you've got the ammo side underneath.
I see. Well, that's really clever. They're making the most out of what they've got, really.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. And their instructions are really good these days anyway. Not that they look particularly hard to put together, but you can see they're...
I mean, the old Goliaths were just body one arm. And that was pretty much it, wasn't it?
If that, to be honest, a lot of the old Necromunda models were one cast.
Yeah,
which was a big problem with them, because if you wanted to take a las gun off one, it meant cutting away the body. That was the Jubes were really the only ones that had sort of 2 weapons pointing away from each other.
And the later Necromunda models, which came out with the new editions of the rules, which did away with the
I don't want to talk about
it's a
those.
standard fighter. Well, they did make more of an effort to make them.
They did, but they were the trainee
still,
sculptors. They were just terrible.
And they were still metal.
They were still metal, yes,
which
absolutely.
Which didn't really help that much.
I mean, if you remember, like, with Necromunda, you used to be able to buy a sprue of metal weapons.
I have several of those sprues of metal weapons, which I have used to upgrade some flagellants to Chaos Cultists.
Yeah.
So,
but they weren't really much good for the actual Necromunda models because of the way they were designed. So there's the rule book. We're going to get to that a little bit later because we're going to talk about Gang War, which we've also got in addition to this. So we'll
I'll crack that open while you're having a little look inside the box.
There's your dice.
Now, what's on the dice? Are the dice just standard D6s or are these actual...
You've got standard D6s, also you've got your injury dice.
Now, I just want to take a moment to talk about the injury dice because we haven't actually read the rules in full yet, but
I've seen the game play.
I've seen the summaries and you've actually played the game. A lot of people were worried that when Necromunda came out again it would turn into a board game. Just completely different from everything that we had
it's really not.
That isn't what's happened. There are two versions of Necromunda now. You have the Zone Mortalis, which you can use actual scenery for, or you can use the boards in the box. And then you have Sector Mechanicus, which is the 3D rules that are presented in Gang War. And people looked at these dice, and I saw a comment say, oh no, they've done it, they've dumbed down Necromunda. All this is doing is removing a D6 table.
It's exactly the same as D6 as well, to be honest.
I think a lot of the changes that have happened to Necromunda have been to try and not necessarily get rid of certain aspects of Necromunda, but to streamline them so that it's easier to keep track of everything.
Just less tables.
Yeah, I mean,
a lot less tables. I mean, this version of the game, as far as I'm aware, the actual sort of self-contained game in the box doesn't have.
So I'm showing up the ammo dice at the moment.
That's it.
So these are for your ammo checks, I believe.
They are. Now what you do is you roll the dice. Every time you roll to hit, you roll one of these dice, and if you get the ammo one, then you take an arrow check.
So that's a lot simpler.
It's a lot simpler.
So you're not having to remember to take your ammo checks.
They're also sustained fire dice. So they've also got multiple shots on them. What I would have liked to have seen, I think, is the ammo dice being separate. Because what it does mean is that if you roll 3 hits on your sustained fire dice, you can't get an ammo check. Which seems kind of backwards. But, you know, it's just fair enough. So yeah,
there is an argument for that. There's only so much space on the dice face to begin with, and if you every time you roll a 3, you get an automatic jam. It makes sustained fire weapons a lot less worth taking. Yeah,
absolutely. But I mean, at the moment, you've got one shot gets you a jam. That's why I would have liked to have seen this. Yeah, they're on the 6s, which is good.
See, this is the thing with people who put logos on dice. You don't put your logo on the 1.
Nobody wants to see a 1.
No, nobody wants to see your logo, and your company becomes a byword for bad luck. You always stick it on the 6, and that's what Games Workshop's done is. And it's not, and it's the
new, like 2 years.
The sexy new Necromunda logo, which I really like.
It is nice, yeah. But yeah, I would have liked to have seen this dice, this ammo check, be a separate dice, so you could get it on any result. So
if we look at it, you've got the ammo check on a 1-shot, so there's only a 1 in 6
1 in 6 chance, yeah.
But then, if your gun's going to jam, it's going to go bang, chunk, rather than daka. Then
yeah, I suppose. I
mean, this is.
I just think it could be a separate dice. I'd be half tempted actually even to make it a separate dice. To maybe roll one of these and one of these.
Well, I think we'd give it a...
So we'll see how it goes.
Give the game a try.
But you've also got scatter dice for grenades and such.
Yeah, that's good. Good old scatter dice back, because having to arbitrarily decide which direction it's going to scatter and then roll a d6 is a stupid idea.
Yes, kind of pointless.
So, we've actually got the
bases.
The new Necromunda bases.
You have a look at those while I crack this open.
So these are... Games Workshop's been getting into the whole bases, textured bases business. And I don't know if you can see that.
Up there. That's it. Perfect.
And they've been doing some pretty good bases. I mean, I make my own texture bases with green stuff and a textured roller.
Yeah.
So I won't be getting any of these because I'll just make my own. But these are pretty good.
I think they're really nice. I think they're a reasonable price as well, to be honest.
Again, I think these are made in the UK because the detail on them is a lot sharper than the...
the Chinese people have just got better.
Oh
no, they are sharper. Yeah, they definitely are.
Because the Age of Sigmar and the 40k bases that we've had up to now have got very soft detail. There's no sharp edges on them.
That is crisp. That is crisp.
And these are much better. But then I imagine, well, it's the quality of the entire product's just being carried through to everything that's going on.
Yeah, it is all high quality stuff. I mean, even these boards that I've got here, although they're not quite as nice as the Space Hulk ones, and to be honest, we are never going to see that again. They are good quality.
Well, the Space Hulk,
good stuff.
Space Hulk was created as an actual board game, and and boards are one of the main aspects of the board game. So the time and the effort was put into making them as good as they could possibly.
They're the gold standard as far as I'm concerned.
Whereas most people, I imagine, the majority of their games aren't going to be Zone Mortalis games of Necromunda.
Yes, I would think a lot of people are just going. I mean, to be fair, out of all the box games that Games Workshop have released, I mean, let's think about it. We've got like what. Betrayal at Calf, we've never played it.
No. We have
Prospero, never played it.
Yeah,
Execution Force, never played it. They've all been bought mainly from niche of these games. You know, this is the one that I think could actually get played because I think, you know.
Well, yeah, because it's just a different aspect, a different narrative aspect of the few games of Necromunda which you will want to play.
The only difference with this really is it's obviously a very self-contained game. So we've got the boards now. These are all double-sided.
So this is just matte.
Yeah, there's no embossing or anything. They're quite nice.
I mean, it's
and being double-sided, I mean, you've got an infinite amount of combinations here.
Yeah, there's no frame as well. Just looking down the edges, there's no frame. But I think what you could do with just putting a bit of super glue.
Yes, a la battle systems. Yes. What I would do is just get a brush with super glue, and I found out you can actually get a cheap one from.
Some nice
God, where was it? I think it was the Range. Like 150 is like cheaper than Loctite, and just run some super glue down there, and that would work absolutely fine.
The board I've just shown you has got quite a deep drop, bridged by a rickety scrap bridge, which is really cool. And here we've got you can see the detail. There's a collapsed area. I don't know if that's actually blocked it, or maybe it's difficult to get over.
That looks like a collapse to me already. I can't even get through there.
And here you can see where the flooring's been melted by acid or something similar.
This one's got a sump swamp.
Oh, well, a sump swamp, yeah. Don't forget the sumps. Sumps were a huge deal in the old Necromunda.
And on the other side, you've got Hive Secundus there.
Which begs the question, what's going on at Necromunda Hive
Primus? Well, this is where they can start introducing all sorts of things. I mean, we know Genes to the Cult's coming. They've already said that Genes to the Cult's
I do remember, because I used to collect all of the Fanatic magazines and the Citadel Journal, and during Necromunda's heyday, but just before Games Workshop decided that they weren't going to support it as much, there was talk of visiting one of the neighbouring hives, which had been overtaken by Genes to the Cult. And wasn't really, well, in this day and age it would be the most productive and efficient hive on Necromunda.
That's a gap you've got to jump there. That's what that is.
If you really need to, because there is a bridge, but then if you really want to twat that person in the face, then you jump. And
then let's not forget that the rules for Necromunda bring back the old Rogue Trader stats.
Yeah, we'll
get to that in a sec.
Yeah, we've got 4 additional stats. Which
cool, willpower, let's have a quick look at these still.
Intelligence and leadership.
That's a nice one. Alright.
More hive quakes there.
A lot more of it. Look at that.
Oh wow. Yeah, so there is an awful lot of board sections, and there's an awful lot of replayability in the Zone Mortalis on its own.
And I just want to say, because this went missing in the last edition of Necromunda, burning tokens.
Hey.
You can set people on fire again, which is always a good thing.
Well, yeah, I know some people like to get their own tokens in plastic.
Ways.
There is absolutely someone's going to come along and make plastic tokens, but these ones look pretty good. They're better than anything we got in the old version, which was pretty thin cardstock.
It was very thin
Whereas
cardstock. I was trying to work out what it is. You've got wound markers. That's out of ammo, I guess. Out of ammo. That's pinned, maybe.
Yeah.
Burning, more wounds. I don't know what that is. Oh, that's an activation, I reckon.
Yeah.
So when you've activated your fighter, you put an activation token next to it. That's
and then what?
That's your line of fire.
So we've got we've got one for 25mm, 32mm bases.
Yeah, because the Goliaths come bigger bases.
What's this?
I'm not sure. It kind of looks like a eaten away.
Could it be because there's a lot of acid weapons?
Maybe, yeah, maybe
toxic
like
weapons. Maybe that's eaten through the floor, and that then becomes a hazard.
That would be very cool.
Once we've
either that, or maybe it's it's not a grenade. These templates have
got spare clear boxes, bags to put your cards in once you get your cards out.
And just like Dark Imperium, you've got a range trooper,
which is specifically printed as a Necromunda range trooper.
It is, yeah. No more Wacky Sticks. Wacky Sticks are gone.
I
As you can see.
like that.
Yeah, it's just really cool.
This huge...
The tutorial mission is literally you just get some barricades and set them up, and then you have like 3 fighters per side.
So this is a dock, so this is an airlock going somewhere. I imagine to a different floor, not outside. So if it was outside, it would be on the side of the wall.
Yeah, you would think so.
And besides, all of the space.
I mean, don't forget you've got a lot of different levels of the height.
And the space docks for Necromunda are on the upper spires because they wouldn't.
Exactly. There's probably leads down to the
risk,
sumps or something like that.
You wouldn't want to risk somebody smuggling your workers out the lower levels.
But you've got all these little wanted posters and everything in it. It's quite cool, you know. It's this part of the 40k universe that I really like.
That looks a lot like Jervis Johnson and Trish Carden.
I agree with Trish Carden. I don't agree with Jervis Johnson.
He's got
yeah,
a lot more hair than Jervis has
at the moment. Yeah, maybe they are based on the old. Yeah,
actually,
they are.
They are. Look at that one. That's the old Rogue Trader style.
That is the old Rogue Trader portraits.
I like that as a bit of detail.
That's a very cool touch.
Also, it's worth noting that this box, you cannot take it apart without just tearing it because the inner lining has been covering up all of the tabs and everything that would hold the thing together.
Yes.
So this is a nice solid piece of scenery now.
Yeah, absolutely. No, it's a nice touch. I like the fact that they've put that in there. It makes it a lot more interesting. It also makes me like to keep the box rather than chuck it away.
Well, yeah, I mean for these games now, especially for
while you open those cards, I'm just going to say that I really like this part of the 40k universe. Yeah, alright, you've got Space Marines, you've got chaos and that kind of stuff, but sometimes it's really nice to get down to the sort of nitty gritty, everyday life aspect of it.
Well, yes,
that's why I really hope Inquisitor makes a big comeback in some way, because that was another part of the 40k universe that just doesn't really get explored. I
think Inquisitor suffered from the scale.
Yeah, no, I don't mean the game necessarily. I just mean I can't believe we still haven't got a 28mm multi-plastic part Inquisitor squad.
There will be at some point.
It's got to be. It's got to be.
The Inquisitor models, the actual Inquisitor models themselves are a bit packed.
And a lot of them are out of print. Like Crusaders, and if you can get any more.
The followers are still good miniatures.
Yes, yeah, absolutely.
But I was involved with a Facebook discussion yesterday. Somebody was asking, I want to get started in Gaunt's Ghost. What would you say would recommend it? And my comment was that it humanises 40k because it gives you actual people with real human motivations for doing things in a world which is mostly made up of transhumans who only really care about hatred and honour. Yeah, and they're not particularly deep.
Especially Milo. I think Milo's perspective is probably the most. Another one that I would put forward for that, and if you've read it, is 15 Hours.
I have not read that, but
I need to lend it to you. It's an amazing book. It just shows the absolute idiocy of the 40k universe. Basically what happens is it starts off... No, there's no need for spoilers. It starts off with a young man leaving his family on his planet to go and join the great illustrious Imperial Guard, being sent off to a planet to do like an introductory training sort of mission type thing. One mistake by an adeptor, an adept, causes him to be completely rerouted to a battle zone. And it all goes off from there, and it just shows how absolutely ridiculous it can be.
Well,
but,
I think Necromunda and Inquisitor, as an aside, are more to do with the average Imperial citizen.
Which is why I'd like to see them get focused on a bit more.
Yeah, and this is why we're excited for the models like the dock workers and things. Yes, we want actual civilian models. A lot of games, they don't do civilians. They don't. All you've got is the most extreme versions of.
Well, let's face it. Even any game of 40k is set in ruins and things like that. It's never really.
And to be honest, if there were civilians, they're just targets. They're in the way.
Yeah, exactly.
There's very few armies that would care to the Blood Angels, the Space Force.
I get the feeling quite often they'd just be killed anyway.
Yeah.
So.
I mean, the people in 40k are a resource.
Yeah. Well,
and anyone you come across in 40k, any human character, or just characters in general, don't have families. No. I mean, they're fighting the war of attrition, aren't they? They don't look at humans as individual humans and what they need to do. They're looking at the numbers. But Necromunda is pretty much the only aspect of 40k that I can think of where family is important.
Yeah, absolutely. And relationships and things like that are actually dwelt upon. So hopefully there's a chance to build up some characterisation here. We've got the cards. You've got cards for the named characters.
Well, These are for if you were just going to play a one-off pickup game.
Yep.
These are the characters that the cards that we use.
So on here you've got your stats, you've got your war gear. I believe the champions and leaders have got skills. So you see that the Tamara's got sprint. So this is easing you into the actual.
This is just pick up and play.
Yeah, exactly. This is just easing you into the.
So you would need to make if that was all you were going to do with this game, you would need to build them to the specifications.
Yeah, you've not played Necromunda before. You pick it up. It's all on here. I'll show you those real quick.
I mean, you have quite a few blank cards as well, which
and
is.
I believe they are the only. This is the only way to get the blank cards.
I think that's missing a trick. If I was Games Workshop or Specialist Games, I would be releasing these as a deck.
As a deck, yeah, absolutely. But as of so far, not at all.
But you say that, we need to have a look at the actual cards. I have had a quick flick. I think there's some more blank cards in here.
Ah, right, okay, that'd be good. That'd be good. But aren't they? I thought they were just
we'll look at them
tactics cards. We'll have a look in the next video. We'll do it in the next video.
Yeah.
Because this is just the actual box game unboxing. So these are the tactics cards.
Yep.
Let me give you a load.
So I'll just pick one at random and read it to you. One here, Guest Trap, which is an Escher specific.
Yeah, there should be 4 of each gang specific, and then all the rest are going to be
gang tactics.
Yeah, gang tactics. So it's not either side.
Guest Trap. Play this at the start of the battle when setting up your gang. Pick one of your fighters to carry this Guest Trap and put the card under their fighter card. Once during the game, the fighter can make this action. Set Gas Trap, which is a double action, so it pretty much takes up their entire turn, activation. Place a Gas Trap marker within 1 inch of the fighter, then they can move up to d6 inches. If the fighter goes out of action before making this action, so basically there were probably rules in here for gas traps, and then you would just, that's how you get a gas trap on the board if it's not already part of the scenario.
Looking at the gang tactics ones, there's 2 of each, so you could quite easily end up with the same one. This one is rigged door. So
I saw that in the White Dwarf battle.
Yeah, play this card immediately after an enemy fighter makes an action. Pick any door on the board and either close or open it. If closing it, and there is a fighter standing in the doorway, they must test to see whether they avoid the closing door as normal.
In the battle report, they didn't.
It went squish.
they were cut in half, which is.
So I like these. They weren't in the original game.
But that's more specific to Zone Mortalis, and that gives you an indication of how games of Zone Mortalis are different.
Like Overwatch, which is another game that I bought for the models, 2 boxes if I remember correctly, it adds a little bit of variety, a little bit of unknown to the game.
We are guilty of ignoring cards in our games of 40k, which annoys me because I've bought cards for pretty much every army I'm using.
I used the open war cards with people a couple of times, and they said they'd never play again with them, which is a bit of a shame.
Well, I'm thinking
it works against them too much.
I'm just thinking about stratagems and the scenario, the extra victory points.
Well, Chapter Approved seems to have an awful lot of that kind of stuff in there. I mean, there was even a way that a Necron can become a Psyker, for Christ's sake.
Well, I'm definitely getting Chapter Approved next weekend, so that's going to be fine. But on the whole, let's just have a quick look at, actually before we do it, just have a quick flick through the rulebook. Yes, the rulebook's actually really nice. I looked at it in GW. I'm keen for the rulebook just for the new background.
Really, yeah, they've done a lot of work with the backgrounds. There's some really nice artwork in there. I mean, that doesn't look anything like the models at all. So,
oh yes, Feral.
Really, really nice tribal stuff in there. It's typical, you know, sort of GW quality.
I will say
a good chunk of it is fluff. I mean, that. So that's what the first 40 pages is all fluff.
I will say that the way the miniatures market is now, compared to when Necromunda did come out, you could make a game entirely of non-Games Workshop models, which would be of near equal, if not as good as quality, and you could have some of these more outlandish characters in your game, or even just pick up 1 or 2 and just fold them in. There's plenty of female miniatures on the market now from various.
Also, plenty of bits and pieces that you can like.
I mean, well, it is a given. It's a given that all the bits companies, Spellcrow, Cromlech,
absolutely,
are going to be doing add-ons for Necromunda.
And Forge World, don't forget. Forge World have already announced they're going to do a lot, so maybe they'll start doing trying bits to add on.
Specialist Games is Forge World. Well, it's just another division of Forge World, so they are the go-to people to get the stuff that is custom built for the models from the outset. We've already got, well, I've already got Gore Halfborn dispatched on its way to me. who is the, if you don't know who that is, if you go to Forge World, there is a Necromunda section, and Gore Halfhorn is a Beastman bounty hunter, who is a reimagining of an old Rogue Trader model.
Jez Goodwin Rogue Trader model, if I remember correctly.
Which was the only Beastman Imperial Guard model which was official and available, and he's been reimagined. And
there's a lot more coming as well.
Yes. I mean, I would hope that Mad Donna Ulanti's coming out pretty quickly because Eschers are available.
That'd be nice. The Goliaths didn't have one, if I remember correctly.
I'll tell you what I've just thought of that Forge World is probably going to do. They're going to do what they did with Blood Bowl, where they take the plastic kit and they just give you a load of extra bits to stick on it, and that is a specific gang of Eschers.
Yes, yeah, so that's why I was looking at these tribal Eschers and everything, and thinking, yeah, GW might not do those as plastics, but I'm sure Forge will put them up as
they'll just be models. Different heads.
Yeah,
or different hairs.
Yeah, headdresses like feathery headdresses and things like that, which could be very, very cool. And they've already said that the whole idea with this kind of Necromunda is, because we've always said like how are Games Workshop going to make money out of Necromunda, because you buy the box. You buy a 20 quid gang set and that's it.
Yes, but we were saying that in the dark days of Games Workshop when nobody had any hope that...
Well, let's not forget, with the new Necromunda, it's more like an army. So the idea is you have a 30-person gang. Oh, wow. And then what you do is each game, you choose what fighters you want to take. So say you were fighting against Goliaths, you might take a different gang to what you would take fighting Van Sars.
But it's easier to do that because of the models. Number two, and the main one, we're adults who don't have to scrounge off our parents for a couple of quid
relatively
to buy the odd model every couple of months.
Yes, yeah, that's true.
I could just in my lunch break just go.
No more going down tree mains and picking up one box of.
No. Yeah. Well, I can just in my lunch break just go. I'll just buy that. Go pick it up from the warehouse and bring it home, and there we are.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, the accessibility of it all is much easier.
In fact, I'd say that I probably will get a copy of this very soon. Not right now, but because I've just bought you one, but very soon. And I can see myself buying every release as it comes out. To be honest.
Yeah, I would think so. If it's up to this quality, I mean, when this first came up, when I first saw this, I thought, oh right, the Eschers, they've always been mine. Yeah, I'll get the Eschers definitely. Yeah. And then when I saw Goliaths,
it's worth saying that Alan was proper into Necromunda when it came out, much more than me. I mean, I've gotten in and
I've played a lot of Necromunda.
You have really been into it, and your miniatures were so beautiful even back then. I remember your Michael Dawn.
I've still got him.
Yeah,
I've still got him around somewhere. Yeah,
and the plasma pistol scum guy.
That was it. He was a plasma pistol scum guy. Yeah.
No, it was the fat one, wasn't he? He was holding.
Yeah, yeah. No, he's the sort of pot-belly guy.
The Michael
Dawn one was an auto pistol, and I don't know what he had in the other hand actually.
Well, I've got metal corridors knocking around. I could dig them out, and
I've got loads of metal Eschers and all sorts of bits, R-bites and everything.
Because we got the legacy. We just downloaded the legacy game rules. If you go to necromunda.com, we haven't looked at them yet, so I couldn't tell you exactly what they do. But I imagine it means that if you've got an old metal gang, you can.
It's exactly what it means. I've had a look. Basically, this game only comes with Escher and Goliath.
And it's worth saying that each gang is not just going to be a generic gang and then...
No, they're all different. The Eschers have got more movement, the Goliaths are slower, but the Goliaths are tougher.
Yeah. So what used to happen was...
everybody had the same stats.
Yeah, but what abilities you could take differed depending on what your house was.
And
but now...
I think that still does, actually.
Yeah, but now it's stats as well.
Yeah, the stats are completely different, yeah.
Tactics as well.
And weapons.
And weapons.
The weapons used to be different anyway, if I remember correctly. I mean, I think the Escher was the only one to take the plasma cannon.
Yeah, but there's a lot more variety in the weapons.
Oh yeah, I mean, the Eschers now got chem-fire and things.
I think it's very unlikely anyone's going to be walking around with a las cannon this time.
No, I think it's that they've gone for a much more, like Genes to the Cult, repurposed mining equipment as weapons, which is why the Goliaths have got a rivet cannon.
Yes, and the Eschers have got a poison sprayer.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so I think there's going to be a lot of good stuff coming up.
Yeah, so if you've got an older gang, if you've got a Delac or you've got an Orlok gang, you will be able to use it. But every quarter there will be a new gang or maybe two released.
They've said one gang per quarter. Well, I think it's a mistake. I think they should do two.
Yeah. Well, a new gang every quarter, and they will have there'll be a supplement book like there was with Blood Bowl, and it will have errata, FAQ, additional rules to play different scenarios, and a gang. And there's your rules for your Delac. So their intelligence, their willpower, their cool. I imagine it will be better than everybody.
I imagine when you buy the Delac gang, so we'll talk about Delacs, so that's the other gang that I had. When you talk about your Delacs, I think obviously you get the box game come out, you get cards come out which give you the tactics for them. I don't think a book will come out until, I think you'll get a yearly book. With Blood Bowl, they've just released Death Zone Season 2. And that's obviously a year on from the original release of Blood Bowl.
Well, they have to do something with the rules, because the rules need to be you need to be able to purchase them. I know you could just download them.
They normally come in the box.
I would hope that you would have a deck of cards.
Yeah. I
think there might be more books that come out, and I think maybe the books will, the extra stuff that you get in there will be based around doing theme stuff with the game that they've released.
Yeah, I mean, we'll have to wait and see, because they've got to do Outlanders yet anyway. That is one thing that I will say. If you've got anything like Redemptionists, you're out of luck.
I don't think Outlanders are going to come out until all of the main games have come out.
Oh, absolutely, yeah, but I mean...
Or Forge World.
Redemptionists, Scavies, Muties, Weirds, you can't use any of it.
I can see them doing a plastic set for each of the main houses, and then Forge World exclusively doing resin versions of the Outlanders stuff.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. I mean, that's only 6 plastic sets. I think they'll do more than that. I think you'll get like Redemptionists, Scavies, Muties.
It will rely on
in plastic.
I think it relies on how popular this is, and to be honest, I don't think it's not going to be popular.
I can't see how it could
because
be.
Blood Bowl was far more popular.
This is the Blood Bowl's when this got made.
They thought it was going to be good. They thought it was going to be good. They didn't understand exactly how good, because there was trouble getting hold of stock for weeks after, which for Games Workshop isn't a common thing. No. So, and
let's not forget, these models are so far above and beyond
when you're looking
the
at
Blood Bowl models. It's not even funny. These are basically Games Workshop kits, whereas with the Blood Bowl models, I felt you really could tell that they weren't.
As far as the plastic goes, you're looking at around 200 grand at least for the 4 sprues in there.
Yeah.
I mean, they really, by doubling up on the sprues and sticking as much stuff, and this is what Games Workshop's really good at, cuts and packing, because of their cuts, packing in as much individual components on a sprue as possible, and that's what allows them to put so much in there, so much different stuff in there.
You compare recent Games Workshop sprues to early Games Workshop sprues, and it's just a world of difference.
The outlay for a tooling for a plastic kit is the biggest cost.
They have to make sure they can make a return on it.
It's about 50 grand.
Yeah, it's about 50 grand.
Given the size of the sprues, I think that's what the cost is. So you're looking at £200 development cost for the sprues alone. If you do 50 grand a quarter for something that's going to sell really well, that's a good investment. As long as it continues to sell well, because it needs to still be doing well by the time they finish doing all 6 games.
Yes.
Then that would...
That's the only thing that got me... I'm hoping that they can sustain interest.
By the end of next year, we should have all 6 of the original games out. Indeed. As long as Necromunda is still as popular then the 2019, I think we can expect to see the beginnings of the...
That'd be nice. I mean, the thing is, we know 2018, we know Adeptus Titanicus is coming.
And that's where a lot of my money's going.
Exactly. That's so they need to worry about people spreading it. I would have personally liked to see Necromunda come out with a bit more to it, but it's fine for what it is.
It's not as bad as if you have, these are self-contained games, so there's only so much you're going to get for them. It's not like 40k where you can just do everything for every army and then you have no money.
No.
If you are just going to concentrate on these, then it's not as big a deal.
No.
But again, the market today is very different from the market when Necromunda first came out. Games Workshop isn't the big...
97?
Yeah, Games Workshop was pretty much the only player.
Actually, that's a good point. Is this the 20th anniversary of Necromunda?
We'll have to check that out. But Games Workshop was the only player. Games Workshop has the largest market share.
Yeah, but there's a lot of other players out there now.
And particularly for this size of, this type of game, this skirmish game.
We've got Mantic with Dead Zone.
Wild West Exodus.
Infinity.
Even
Malifaux.
Even Hordes and War Machine is...
Yeah.
I mean, you can scale that up.
Yeah, you can scale it up, but it starts as a skirmish.
But it's a skirmish game. It's good. I mean, where Games Workshop dominates is the big mass battle games. By releasing this, they've got a lot more competition, but this is an established property which people want. Yeah. So it is going to go straight to the top of the top selling list for a while. Yes. So I think it's a safe bet to do this. Yes. I think Adeptus Titanicus is a bit more of a risk. Because that's probably why they're holding back on it, to make as much plastic as they can. Because it is not, there isn't really anything out there like it. I mean, Dystopian Wars, kind of, but Adeptus Mechanicus is just going to be a small number of individual models. Exactly. It's engine duels, basically, isn't it? It pretty much is a niche unto itself. We'll have to see how it goes. People who love Epic like me, even though I never actually played much Epic, will slam their money down and buy those Titans no problem, even though they're going to be expensive.
I don't think you'll ever see Epic again. I don't think you'll get a 15
I've got enough.
I think you'll get Titans, but I just don't think they'll do Epic again, to be honest.
Well, I've still got all the rules for Epic. I've got tons of
An Apocalypse game of 40k is basically 28 mil Epic.
Which I think, if people really want to play that scale games, Epic is where you have to go, because if we couldn't play a game, we could play a game. We could go down to the game centre and we could do, but that's a whole day.
Yeah, yeah.
And transporting the models there and then getting them back again.
And each turn takes like an hour. Yeah, it's just crazy. Yeah.
So, although Apocalypse rules are coming in chapter approved,
this is the way. Yeah.
they're still not going to get a lot. I mean, one Apocalypse game a year.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, I was going to say you do one big summer Apocalypse game. But anyway, that's Necromunda, because we're getting off topic. And I did want to do another video chatting about the other stuff anyway, so we'll have more of a discussion about things there.
Yes.
That's Necromunda. It's really nice. Thank you very much. I look forward to getting stuck in.
Recommended.
Yes, it should be a lot of fun. We may well bring you a gameplay video or something at some point. So yeah, thanks for that, guys, and we'll see you soon.
See you soon.